Knicks fans, what's popping? Knicks lost to the Celtics, as expected. Let's get into it. What's popping, folks? Big shout out to you. Big shout out to you. Hey, I'm not upset with the game tonight. Siobhan, what's popping, bro? Everybody, what's going on with you? I'm not upset. Not upset at all. Didn't expect to win the game. Wasn't upset with the way that they played. You know what I'm saying? A little bit upset with the way the starters play. They don't play with the same energy, and that's what I'm looking for. You know what I mean? They just don't play with the same energy as when those young guys are in the game. When Trey Burke, Frank, Damian Dotson, and who's on the floor with those guys, Lance Thomas is on the floor with those guys. They don't play the same, not the same type of defensive energy. And that's what I'm looking for from now on. That's what I'm looking for, that kind of defensive energy. You know what I'm saying? What's good, folks? CH, Emmanuel, Defano, Ralph Unreal, everybody, what's popping today? Chinky Eye, what's good with y'all, man? But yeah, the starters, they're not playing with the same vigor. It's just not the same vigor on defense. You know, and we got to somebody in that starting lineup's got to do it. I don't know, maybe they just don't have it in them to do it. Maybe that's just not their style of play. That's not how they play. That's not what they do. You know, but I don't like seeing it because when the young guys come in, you can see the energy pick up. We took bad shots in the fourth. Delano, you're right. Took some bad shots in the fourth. Burke took a couple of bad shots in the fourth, even though he played well. Took some bad shots in the fourth. Tim Hardaway, I'm not even going to get into it with Timmy. You know what I mean? The more and more I'm watching, I really tried hard this year to be a Tim Hardaway supporter and fan. But I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I can't do it. Just can't do it. I just don't like the way he plays, man. I can't help it. I just don't like his style of play. His style of play to me is he's just a six man. He's a 6-man guy, man. 6-man guy. But, you know, that is what it is. We know about Hardaway, and we know what he does. You know, I can't stand the shots that he pulls. It pisses me off, honestly. Because I'm always like, yo, why are you pulling that crazy shot? Why? What is the reason? But we got to deal with it for the rest of the year. You said Timmy's the best thing we have on the floor? Really? Are you serious about that? Come on, man. Come on, man. Timmy shot 43.8% from the field today. Shot 37% from three. Not bad. Right? But 43% from the field, and that's about what he averages for the season. That's not great. Trey Burke shot 52% from the field. Couple of iffy shots in the fourth quarter, but I'll deal with that. Trey Burke, 26 points, 10 for 19, 52% from the field, 33% from three. Could be better, but that's just picking at grapes, right? 8 assists. 1 turnover with those 8 assists. Come on, man. And you say Timmy is the best thing we got going on the floor? Watch the game, bro. You gotta watch the game. Tim Hardaway, 17 points. I'll pull this over for you to see as well, so you know I'm not lying to you. Tim Hardaway, 17 points, 43.8% from the field, like I said before, 37.5% from three. That's not bad. 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 turnovers. His plus minus, and look, I take plus minus with a grain of salt because a lot of it depends on who you play with. But his plus minus was a negative 18. You know? That's, you know, Michael Beasley's plus minus was a negative 19. That starting group, you know, that starting group is a problem right now. They just don't play with the same kind of vigor and the same kind of energy. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you can't tell me that Tim Hardaway is the best thing we got going. That surely is not the truth, in my opinion. If it were me, I'd be looking to trade Hardaway in the offseason. They're not going to. You know what I'm saying? Steve Mills, he signed Hardaway. He brought Hardaway in. So I think, he wants to try to win with Hardaway or make good on the deal that he made. But I do not think that Tim Hardaway is the right guy for this team. If Tim Hardaway is going to be one of your main cogs in the starting lineup, I don't think he's the right guy. I just don't think so. I don't like the way he plays. I can't do it. I tried very, very hard. Very, very hard. But I don't like his style of play. Can't do it. Let's recap the game real quick. Good first quarter. Although, we started off kind of down. Well, we started off with a lead, then we lost it. Brought it back, especially when that second unit started coming in. Through the second quarter, we built the 8-point lead. We start bringing those starters back in, we lost the lead. Right? Going to half down 3. And that same thing happened throughout the game. And if I go back, I'll go back to I'm gonna go back to the box score. You can look at the box score for the Knicks, and like I said, plus minus is iffy. Whatever you want to think about plus minus, I get it. Everything depends on who you play with on the floor. But it is telling that when you look at the starting 5, they're all in a negative plus minus. -7 for Mudiay, -9 for Courtney Lee, -10 for Cantor, -19 for Beasley, -18 for Tim Hardaway. I think that's pretty telling. Now, of course, they're playing against Boston's starting 5, so I get that. I do get that. But with Frank on the floor, it's a +4. Lance Thomas a +9. Trey Burke a -4. Now, why? In my opinion, Trey Burke played down the stretch, playing with Hardaway and Beasley and those guys, and there's a difference. And then, of course, playing against Boston's starting 5. So there's a difference there. Or starting group or finishing group, whatever it is. But it's clear that, and look, yeah, we're going to talk about Troy Williams. Troy Williams put in work in the fourth quarter, had 14 points, 4 rebounds. He definitely put in some work in the fourth quarter. I like what I see from him. We're going to talk about him a little bit. But, he's the kind of athlete that we needed. But anyway, just recapping the game. We won the rebound battle, 49-45. 20 assists, 10 steals, 3 blocks, 14 turnovers. Not a bad game. We really didn't play bad. We didn't play too bad. We shot 47% from the field, 22.2% from the 3-point range overall. We did shoot 27 threes, but we got to knock those down. We got to knock them down at a higher clip if we want to be more effective. All right, we went through the free throw line 20 times, shot 80%. Not bad. Boston shot just about 40% from 3. And a lot of that is due to, us giving them open looks. That's what's going to happen. They get open looks. That's what's going to happen. But all in all, it wasn't a bad game. We played hard for the most part. We competed. Trey Burke played well and competed against a very good team. And then, of course, there's the question, and I've seen a lot of you guys talk about it already in the chat. Should Trey Burke start? Right? I've already seen it in the chat. And it's a valid question because he's making a case. Right? He's making a case. He, 26 points tonight, 8 assists tonight. Last game he had 26 or whatever, however many points he had, and 6 assists. So he's definitely making a case for it. There are a few things that I think he needs to do in order to be the starter, in my opinion. Well, let me say this. I'll say this. Maybe for us, because he can score, right? And, when he gets in, he can create for other people. Maybe he could be the starter. I wouldn't cry about it, because of where we're in. But on a very, very good team, I do not think that Trey Burke is a starting point guard. On a very, very good team. You know what I mean? I think that Trey Burke is very, very good off the bench. He's exactly what you want off the bench because he can come in and give you instant offense. And I think off the bench, you don't have he's not going to have the same responsibilities, I think. That's the way I feel. I think that as a starter, especially for this team, Trey Burke really does shoot a lot. When he gets the ball, his mind is on getting his buckets, right? And you know what? If that's his game, that's his game. That's okay. And if you have a good coach, you say, you know what? I'm going to find a way to let Trey Burke be Trey Burke. You know what I'm saying? If we can find a way to let Trey Burke be Trey Burke, that's cool. And maybe that's his role coming off the bench is to just let Trey Burke do him. I think if you're the starting point guard, you got to do a little bit more. Maybe not on this team, but if you have KP out there, if you have some other players out there, you got to be a little bit more. You got to be more mindful of getting the ball to people in different positions, getting the ball to KP or whoever else is out there on the floor. So I guess time will tell to see him with a player like KP and some other guys to see if he can play with them because he is, you talk about a point guard that is, a scoring point guard. He is a scoring point guard. You know what I'm saying? That is what Trey Burke does. And, that's been one of the knocks on him. Not that he's a scoring point guard, but he doesn't look to incorporate everyone else enough, which is the reason why I say he's very good. He's a very good guy off the bench for instant offense. On a very, very good team, I don't think he's just starting point guard. On a very good team, I think he's a guy that can come in and change the pace, light it up. And if he's not hitting, I think if Trey Burke gets 30 minutes, if he's just starting point guard and he gets 30 minutes and he is still the scoring point guard that he is, and he's off, then you still might see him chuck up those shots if he's off. I don't know. I'm saying might. But that's what I see from him. That's what I think. We can never know until we play the game, right? Or we see what happens when he's playing 30 minutes and he's off. We haven't really seen it because, if he's off, Hornacek yanks him. But that's what happens when you're a sixth man. If you're a sixth man and you come in and you're kind of off, then you may not get the same burn. So we haven't seen what happens if he plays 30 minutes and he's off. You know what I mean? Haven't seen it yet. Because when he's been off, he's been yanked out the game. So, we'll see. We might get a chance to see it now. You know what I'm saying? We might get a chance to see it now. If he's off, because he's gonna get burned. If he's off, we'll see what he does. I want to see how he reacts to it. See if he chucks him up there, or if he decides I got to do something else. So that's one thing that I'll be looking to see with him. Sometimes he gets himself in trouble. Part of that is because he's small. He penetrates really deep, and then there's not a place to go, and he jumps in the air. And then he'll try to throw the ball out someplace. But he's good at keeping his dribble. So, I like him to keep his head up. If he gets deep in there, just dribble back out. But, you get caught in situations sometimes, and it happens. I'm not complaining about the guy. If he's going to be a six man and come in and provide that instant offense, I'm cool with it. Actually, he had 8 assists tonight. Trey Burke had 8 assists tonight, I believe. So I'm not complaining, but I understand what you're saying. Yeah, he had 8 assists. That's cool. That doesn't mean that just because someone has 8 assists doesn't always mean that they're a setup guy. You know what I mean? It doesn't always mean that. So, look, I'm not knocking Trey Burke. I'm not knocking him at all. I'm saying to put Trey Burke in a position to play his game the best way that he can play it. And it is very, very obvious the man took 19 shots. He took the most shots on the team because he was the hottest guy on the team. But he is a scoring point guard, and he looks people off at times to get to the basket and to shoot the ball. Is that what you want from your point guard? It's going to happen sometimes, yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's going to happen sometimes, but is that what you want all the time from your point guard? There is a reason that he jumped around, was traded from Utah and then went to Washington and didn't play. There's a reason. Or I don't know if he was traded from Utah, left, didn't get re-signed, whatever. However, it soured in Utah, went to the Wizards and didn't play. There's a reason, and that could very well be the reason. He mentioned it. He said that they wanted him to be more of a not traditional point guard, but look to get more people involved. So, we'll see what happens. Maybe he finds a home as a six-man here. I just don't think on a very, very good team he's going to be a starting point guard unless he's only 25, right? Unless he evolves his game a little bit more. So you guys, I see a lot of you guys like coming at me in the chat and some of those things, about, he had 8 assists, or yes, he can, or this and that. I'm not saying he can or he can't. I'm raising questions that I'd like to have answered and things that I think he needs to do to be a starting point guard on a very, very good team. That's what I'm doing right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying I don't know what's going to happen when he plays 30 minutes and he's off. Because up until now, we've seen Jeff Hornacek pull him out the game. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, will he evolve into the point guard that can mix it up? That can, on nights when no one else has it going, then he says, okay, I need to do it. Can he evolve to be that guy? That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying he can't be it. I'm not saying he's not it. I'm saying I don't see it right now, and I'm wondering, will that evolve? That's what I'm saying. All right. So, I see some of you guys, coming at me like, he did this, he did that. We'll see. We'll see what he does. And listen, obviously, I'm a Knicks fan, so I want him to do well. If he ends up being a starting point guard, hey, that's what it is. Cool. Siobhan, I didn't get thank you for the super chat. You said Trey Burke looking like candy out there. Is he a starter? That's the question that I'm raising. Is he a starter? Some people say yes. Some people say no. I tend to think that Trey Burke is going to be a better six man. because of his style of play, I tend to think he's going to be a better sixth man. But hey, I could be wrong. Not afraid to be wrong. Armando, you said maybe Trey. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that for sure. You said maybe Trey could be a small two guard where he only has to worry about getting his buckets and collapsing the opposing defense. That's what I'm saying, and that's what happens when he's a sixth man, right? Because even when he comes in from a sixth man, as a sixth man, he doesn't have to worry. He can be the guy that gets your buckets off the bench, right? He doesn't have to worry. He doesn't have the same responsibilities. You know what I'm saying? And then you put him in the game like they put him in with Frank, right? Hey, who's Mark, man? You got to hold on for a minute, bro. I'll open it up. Like they put him in with Frank, and if you do need to get it under control, when Frank gets to that point where he's not afraid to really, I'm not going to say he's afraid now, but where he has a little bit more respect and he could just say, hey, let me get the ball. Let's slow this up a bit if it's necessary. But you put him on, the floor with someone like Frank, their styles of play are kind of opposite, and it works. It works. But starting them right now, I just seen somebody say, Shamik, you say Trey Burke can be, thank you for the super chat, I appreciate it. You say Trey Burke can be like Lou Williams, a sixth man. Exactly. He can be like like Lou Williams. He can be. Right? And now I see somebody just say, Trey Burke is better than Mudiay. Why not start him now? And, Jeff Hornacek can decide to do what he wants to do, but the simple answer to that for me would be because then you start Trey Burke, and then who comes off the bench to give you that scoring punch? Right? Because Beasley is starting now. So who comes off the bench to give you that scoring punch? And that's what he's doing. He's coming off the bench and he's giving a scoring punch. And he's giving a big punch. You know what I mean? Let's see how it works out. See how the chips fall. Let these guys get out there and play. Earlier in the first half, Hornacek played Burke, Frank, and Mudiay together. It was very small. I would have liked to see him give it a little bit more time. So, hopefully we get to see it a little bit more. I want to see it a little bit more. Trey Burke, Ntilikina, Mudiay together on the floor. See what happens. Give it a look. I think they were out there for maybe a minute or two together. Not much time. I want to see it some more. Marco Berry, you say we need to pick up. You say, Russ, we need to pick up Jabari Parker in the offseason. Well, I guess that's going to depend on what we do in the draft, right? We'll see. He's someone that could fit, but if we're picking up a three-man in the draft, I don't know, what we do with Jabari Parker then if we're picking up a three-man that we expect is going to be as good or as Jabari Parker. But, Mudiay, I still want to give him some time. I guess the league is just different, and maybe it's passing me by. I don't know. But I still value guards that aren't always your point guards that aren't always going to just come out there and look to get buckets every time and score 1,000 points. I still value those guards that are going to come in and play defense, look to get other people involved. You gotta have a guard that can score, right? They got to be able to get some buckets because, they have to put pressure on the defense. If you have a guard that can't score at all, they're not going to put as much pressure on the defense. Teams have seen Mudiay score. They know that he can score. So I think he still does put some pressure on the defense. Let's give him some time, give him a chance. I think Mudiay needs to. He doesn't look in great shape to me. I think he needs to really get in good shape. Maybe he is. I don't know, but I think that he needs to get in better shape. He really needs to work on the touch on his shot. And his form, he needs to work on his form a little bit. He's got good form in the upper body. He pulled up, elbow is tucked. But then his lower body, there's something off about his form in the lower part of his body. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't land straight down. He doesn't come straight up in the air and let it go. It's like he's kind of sometimes leaning forward. His legs are, apart sometimes. I think that he'll be a better shooter, I think, if he fixes the lower part of his body. You know what I mean? Those are some things that Mudiay needs to work on over the summer. And I think if the Knicks can get, or, someone like Chris Brinkley can work with him. I don't know who he usually works with over the summer, but he needs to get some guys that can really fix his shot. Because he can make it. We've seen him be able to light it up. I think he scored 25, 27 points in a quarter one time. He can score. He can put it in the basket when he has it, going. Not every player can get it going like that. And he's had nights in Denver, of course, when he's been able to get it going. So I think we need some patience with him. Armando, you say like a 6-man combo guard. Are you talking about Trey Burke, or are you talking about, thank you for the super chat, by the way, or are you talking about Mudiay? I'm assuming you're probably talking about Trey Burke as a 6-man combo guard. And yeah, that's exactly what he can be. A great one too. Emmanuel C, you say Mudiay doesn't have a fluent shot. Mudiay doesn't have a fluent shot. I agree. It's not real fluent, and it's not, it's a little off sometimes. His form and the structure of his body, he needs to work on those things, I think. He needs to work on those things, get a little bit better in shape. He looks like he still has some baby fat on him. Lose that a little bit. And then see how he comes back. I seen somebody earlier asked about Trey Burke and if we should, what Trey Burke is worth. And the thing about Trey Burke is we actually have Trey Burke on a contract through next year. All right, so that's pretty good. It's a good thing. I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna pull it up here. Let's see. We actually have Trey Burke. He's on a non-guaranteed contract for next year. I thought he was. So he's on a contract through this year, but I believe he's on a non-guaranteed contract for next year. I believe. It doesn't show it here, but I believe he has, I don't know how much it is, but a non-guaranteed contract. If the Knicks do not waive him by a certain point in probably August or maybe throughout training camp or whatever it is, then his contract will become guaranteed. So, we probably have him on a nice contract, a team-friendly contract, let's say that, until next year, through next year. Jason M., you said team option for Trey Burke, 1.5 next year. Yeah, and I don't think it's guaranteed until there's a certain date when the contract will be guaranteed. Right. So that's not a bad contract, especially if he can come in. If you really find a spot for him and he can come in and give you that instant offense and give you some buckets that way, I think that, you'll have him on a really nice contract, a team-friendly contract, and that's a great asset for you going forward. Either, and you can decide, do we keep him? Do we trade him for something? Can we get something better? Or whatever it is, But if you have him on a very nice contract, then you have options and you can be very flexible. So let's talk about Frank a little bit. I like some of the things that I seen from Frank tonight. He was aggressive in spots. We've seen it in the first half a few times. He went to the basket. Big shout out to the French Unicorn. Thank you for the super chat. I got mad love for you too, bro, for sure. But we seen him go to the basket. And the thing is, man, with Frank, I think he can do that all the time. You know what I'm saying? We can do it. He can do it all the time. Frank flashed tonight. Yeah, he showed some things. And I think he showed people that he can do it. People that doubt him and say he can't. I think he can do that all the time if he decides to go. He just doesn't decide to go. But when he does get it in his mind and decides to go, he'll be tough to stop. Because of the length of his arms. But we've seen him. We've seen it early in the game. He went to the basket. Layup. Left hand layup. He had that one time where I think he kind of thought he was on a break. He came down. And naturally, his natural his instincts are to look to get other people involved. But he came down and he was looking. And then he said, okay, I think he passed it to Kyle O'Quinn. O'Quinn gave it back. He said, okay, he pulled it out and said, let me get aggressive. Called Kyle O'Quinn out. Got the screen, went off the screen to the basket. You know what I'm saying? He just has to, it's such a habit for him to look for everyone else because that's the way he's grown up playing, that he's got to develop that aggressive mindset. He's working towards it. He's working towards it. But we see what he can do when he decides to go. When he makes it up in his mind that he's going to shoot the ball or he's going to take it, we see exactly what he can do. You know what I mean? We see exactly what he can do. And you see the talent, you see the ability, you see he has all of the tools necessary. He just needs to develop it. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some time for him to develop it because it's been so ingrained in him. That's how he grew up playing the basketball game. That's the difficult part. He grew up playing the game to share the ball. That's the way that he was taught. And because that's what's emphasized where he comes from. So we'll see. We'll see. And I think he's going to continue to develop and do some things. I think he's going to get better and better. Kwaku, I hope I said your name right. You said Frank's motor is what is the question. I don't think his motor on the floor, if that's what you're saying, motor on the floor, I agree. He needs to show a little bit more of a motor. He shows that motor defensively. He needs to show it offensively. You know what I'm saying? Defensively, you'll see he's all over the ball. He's all over the floor. Yeah, CP the artist, you're right. You say European ball is very unselfish. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And that's what he's grown up. That's the mentality that he's grown up into. And so it's a change. It's a change for him. So he's got to break some old habits and build some new habits. But they've got to be the right habits, though. But going back to his motor, defensively he has a great motor. He's all over the place. Offensively, you're right, El Honcho. I don't know if it's exactly a motor. I think it's just the style of play that he's grown up in. That's just what he's just what he's done. That and So I'm not sure if it's exactly is his motor. It could look like a motor. It could look like a motor, but I think the guy is he'll move because he's thinking. Yeah, Emmanuel, right. He plays slower offensively because he's thinking instead of playing. Instead of just going out and being free, he's thinking about what to do. And he's thinking right now because he's trying to find that line between he's trying to learn how to be aggressive. And he's trying to figure out, when do I pass it? When do I be aggressive and take it? You know what I'm saying? And some people say, well, just do what's natural. But if you tell him to do what's natural, what's going to be natural to him is to look to get everyone else involved. That's what's going to be natural to him. So if you tell him to do what's natural, then that's what you're going to get. He's got to be retrained to be aggressive so that he can do both. You know what I'm saying? So he can be aggressive. He can be aggressive. He can look to get others involved. Be aggressive. Look to get others involved. He can do both. So he's got to be retrained mentally to do that. And it's gonna take some time. And then he's got to figure out when to do which. And that's not easy. It's not easy. So he's got to figure those things out. And you can see him, figuring, he's picking his times to go. Right? Picking his times to go. Hey, Air Force ups 1. Check this out. You're going to tell me to move on from Frank. If I want to talk about Frank, I will talk about Frank. I'll talk about Frank the whole show if I want to, bro. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm glad that you're here. I appreciate it. But you can talk about Troy if you want to put some information about Troy. But if I want to continue talking about Frank, I will continue to talk about Frank Ntilikina. Thank you. All right. Yeah, we know Frank is going to get better. But he's still trying to find that line between being aggressive and passing the ball. He's still trying to find that line, and it's not easy to do. He's just got to figure out what to do, especially being a rookie, being 19 years old in the NBA. He's got to figure it out. You know what I mean? He's got to figure it out, and he'll figure it out. I think he will. So now I'm going to talk about Troy, Air Force. I'm just messing with you, man. I'm cool, man. Don't worry about it, Air Force. I'm just messing with you. But now we're going to talk about Troy. And I'm going to be honest with you. I hadn't really heard much about Troy Williams until we were drafting him. I mean, not drafting him, until we were signing him from the G League. But he is the athlete that we needed, for sure. We needed an athlete like Troy Williams on this team. And, I was thinking tonight, Damian Dotson is being hurt by Troy Williams. I don't want to say being hurt, but you got to produce when you're on the floor. And I was all for Damian Dotson, and I still think that Damian Dotson can be a player in this league. But he's not producing on the floor when he gets his chances. You know what I'm saying? He's just not producing. And then now this guy, Troy Williams, comes in, and he's taking some of Damian Dotson's minutes because he's coming in and he's producing. You know what I'm saying? His athleticism is crazy. Yeah. Yep. Emmanuel, he won the G League dunk contest. They said he can hit threes. I want to say I haven't seen him knock one down yet. But, we'll see. I mean, he's shooting them, so obviously he believes that he can hit them. I like his athleticism. He plays defense. I want to see if maybe he can create a little bit. But he's definitely a guy that we need to take a serious look at from now, of course, we are now, and then going into the future. Ishmael, you say Troy reminds you of a young Ariza. Yeah. Yep, he can play defense. He's athletic. He's long. And it looks like his shot doesn't look broken. So it looks like if he can't hit the three now, he'll be able to hit the three later. Maybe that's something that he can, he'll develop as he's going on. But he's coming into the league. He's not afraid. You know what I'm saying? He's not afraid to hoop. You gotta respect that. You know what I'm saying? You gotta respect that. He's coming in. He's not afraid to play. Not afraid to take shots. Not afraid to be aggressive. Those are definitely some good signs. Jason, you said if Troy can hit threes, it'll really hurt Dotson, but I still believe in Dotson. You like players who play defense and can shoot. I agree with you. And if he can hit threes, that will hurt Dotson. Because, that should have been Dotson's minutes. You know what I mean? Should have been Dotson's minutes. But, hey, you got to produce. You got to produce. Emmanuel say he's young but with an old face. That's the truth, man. He got an old face, for real. But I like the guy's length and athleticism. He needs to get a little bit bigger, but that'll come. He's still, what you say, he's 23 years old. 23 years old, so he'll get bigger, he'll get stronger. But he's a guy that can definitely help us out. And I was looking at this unit that was in the game, first half and second half. The first half, you had Trey Burke, you had Frank, Damian Dotson, Kylo Quinn, and whoever else. Lance Thomas. And I was just thinking to myself, man, what would it be like if KP was playing with that group? I can't wait to see it. And then in the second half, Troy Williams in the fourth quarter substituted for Dotson. Dotson didn't get burned in the second half. But how would KP look in that group? Young guys that can get up and down the floor. You got an athletic guy like Troy Williams out there. Because when you got athletic guys, it really does take some attention. It takes some attention away. It'll take some attention away from KP. Because you got to watch that this guy's going to fly to the basket. He's going to cut. Now, if he can, I'd like to see him develop the chemistry that he had, that Dougie Fresh had with Kylo Quinn. Siobhan, thanks appreciate the super chat. You say Troy is a reincarnation of Derek Williams. Yeah, he could be that. We'll see. Maybe. Air Force One, you say you thought the same thing about playing with KP. Yeah, I'd like to see that. And I want to see if he and Kylo Quinn can get that backdoor cut together. The same way that him and Dougie Fresh had it. How Kylo Quinn and Dougie Fresh had it. They get that backdoor cut. We'll see some more of those dunks. Emmanuel, you say, can KP run the floor? I think KP can run the floor. Now, he runs the floor sometimes and then he stops at a three-point line, or he trails the play so he can pull up, at the top of the key. But I think he can run the floor. KP is an athletic guy. I think he can, get up and down that floor and run it. And, we get a chance to see, some guy, Trey Burke, KP, Troy Williams, Frank. See them guys on the floor running the break. We'll see what that looks like one of these days. Maybe we don't see it until next year. And then, we may even get somebody that's more athletic than Troy next year or in the draft or whatever it is. So we'll see. Yeah, he could dunk. You seen his dunk tonight? You seen it tonight. But that was the athleticism that we needed. And we needed that kind of athleticism early in the season because we were getting killed by so many teams that were athletic. You know what I mean? So many teams that were athletic, we were getting killed by them. So we needed an athlete like that. When how many follow-up dunks have we had this year? He may already have our highest number of putback dunks. Have we had any putback? Well, I'm sure we have, but not many. Not many. If he would have been here, we would have had many more putback dunks. But we haven't had many. Because we haven't had the athletes. I'm gonna open up the lines. Somebody, give me a call. Let's talk a little bit. Let's talk a little bit. I'm not gonna be on super, super late because I got to get up early for a fundraiser tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? But give me a call. Let's talk a little bit. As we are talking about Troy Williams. And he likes that. He likes that that little scoop around the rim reverse layup. He likes that. Looks good too. Looks good. All right, let's see who we got calling in. We got Isaiah on the line. I'm gonna get you up on the screen in a second, my man. Get you up here. Isaiah, what's poppin', bro?
What's going on, man? What's going on, Simeon?
I'm feeling good.
Shout out to the chat, everybody. Black is time, you already know.
For sure, man. So how you feel about tonight's game?
I felt good, man. This was a right way to lose, if that makes sense. We played good the whole game. It just, the Celtics are who they are and we are who we are. So it was a good game, man. I was proud of the point guards. I like Troy Williams. I wish that kid would have played Cornette.
I don't even know if Cornette was on the roster tonight.
No, he was in the G League today. They sent us to the G League today.
Right.
I wish he would have played. I want to see more of him. Just I want to see if he could be the true backup to KP or be a stretch five or be whatever. But everybody played good and I loved it. Actually, it's crazy. My dad was at that game tonight.
Oh, for real? Okay.
Yeah, I think he was like in the 7th row. Well, my church went. They went
Cool.
to go see the game, so they got to enjoy that. But yeah, they all played good. I love. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I love that Frank and Trey combination. That's my favorite combination so far.
Okay.
Between the point guards. That it brings to me a good balance of offense and defense. And
true, very true.
They both, and it's crazy. They both complement each other really, really well. And like I said, that's to me been the best combination between all three is Frank and Trey. Them two really look good together when they play.
Yeah, they do, and because like you said, they complement each other well. Trey is going to be more aggressive, looking to score the ball. Frank is going to be a little more, looking to get other people involved. Frank brings that defense. Trey brings the offense. It's a good combination.
It definitely did. What's crazy, man? What I noticed about when them two play, they bring the other quality out in each other.
Yeah.
I see Trey play really good defense when Frank's out there, and I see Frank get a little bit more aggressive when Trey's out there with the offense.
Right.
And I like what I see from Frank a lot today. He was aggressive, and to me, and it's crazy, and I don't know, and this just makes the most sense. The only thing wrong with Frank is he's just not being aggressive. To me, that's literally it. He's not aggressive, and which and I always argue with other Knicks fans that call him a bust or just say he stink, which they don't watch basketball and they don't know basketball to see that he's actually a very good player. It's just the style, like you said, the style he grew is. it's hard to break something that you've done your whole life.
Right.
You know, it's
right.
Like people should, if they can't understand that in basketball way, just understand it in a simple way with your daily thing that you do, and someone telling you not to do it no more. You're going to continue doing it. You know, you're going to continue doing it. And it's just like, people got to understand the circumstances that Frank had. He's 19. He had to travel all the way from America to leave. He left his family to come play here. To go play a style of basketball he's never played before. More me type basketball instead of which the NBA should be a whole, you know, team basketball, but it's not. We all know that. It's a lot for a 19-year-old kid, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, you got to give him time. Like he gets open. His shots, he gets open. His shooting motion is good. He shoots good. Once it clicks, it's gonna be crazy. To me, he reminds me of a Chris Paul. The way his shooting mechanics go, it looks smooth when he releases it. So, and he plays defense. So it's like once everything clicks, it's gonna be over.
Yeah.
He will be a top 10 point guard in the league once he gets aggressive and once he lets it click and when he knows to pick and choose when to be aggressive or not. He's gonna be amazing, man. I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah, I believe so. I think he's going to be really good. You know, I mean, defensively,
he's already there.
Look, when you watch him defensively, you know, he plays hard on the ball. You know what I'm saying? You know, on the ball, he's like, you know, he's on the ball. He's very aggressive on the ball, and then he anticipates what's going to happen off the ball. You know what I mean? You know, he's looking at what plays are going to happen off the ball, so he can try to. That's the reason why he can get a lot of steals. You know, because he's looking at what rotation is going to be next and where he should be. You know, and then he gets there. You know, that's very, you know, and that's really, really good for a young guy like Frank. You know what I'm saying? That's really good, you know, for him to be able to anticipate where the ball is going to be, when it's going to be there, so that he can cover for other people. Like I seen Siobhan say that he covered for Trey Burke a lot. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know, and he's able, because he can see what other people are doing. He's so smart defensively and has such a high defensive IQ. He sees when someone else is maybe their man is able to penetrate on him or someone else is taking a chance and he covers. I mean, you know, if we can get 5 guys like that on the floor, that's the reason why that one unit with you know, Trey Burke, you know, he played decent defense tonight with Trey Burke, Frank, Lance, Damian Dotson, Kylo Quinn. Those guys have a very good defensive acumen. You know what I'm saying? So they know how to cover for each other. They know how to rotate back to the man and those type of things. And you've seen in that second quarter, those guys were really, really aggressive defensively.
True.
And that's how they built that 8-point lead, because they were so aggressive defensively.
Yeah, because you know what's crazy, man? It's like the way Frank is, to me, this is a good thing. I'd rather my rookie point guard come in more defensive minded than offensive minded, because to me, you can teach offense. Once you don't play defense, yeah, that's kind of it. Because, like, you know, for example, like, Dennis Smith Jr. is good and he can give you 30, but he'll also give up 30.
Yeah, he will.
So, you know, it's no point there. Like, I'd rather have Frank, who, like, can give you 15, 20, and then he gives the other point guard, like, dang, I got to play Frank tonight.
Yeah. I hope that, you know, one day he can give us 15, 20. We'll see. I mean, he might get, I don't know if he's ever going to be that high a scoring of a guard. I think, you know, 15 points a game might be his limit, but yeah. You know, but he might also, you know, 15 and 8 and 5 rebounds and a couple of steals, you know, something like that. You know,
I can live with that.
We'll see. You know, who knows? You know what I'm saying? When it clicks, when it clicks and he learns when and where to go, it could be.
Yeah, man, it'd be deadly, man.
Yeah. But hey, Isaiah, thank you for the call, man.
Yes, sir. I know more people want to call.
Yeah, definitely for sure. I appreciate the call, bro. Have a good one.
I love the chat, man. I see you later, man.
All right, man. Peace out.
Peace out.
But yeah, folks, ladies and gentlemen, we got some young guys that we're working with, and it's fun to watch. You know, it's really fun to watch and see what these guys are going to be, see how these guys are going to grow. You know, it's exciting. It's definitely exciting. And hopefully, and we're going to get into our front office a little bit. Hopefully, our front office knows what to do. You know, so that's why I want to ask you guys. You know, we got some young guys here, and so far, I'm satisfied with what I've seen from Scott Perry. I feel like, you know, his eyes are open. He's paying attention to what's going on in the league, and he's made some good decisions. You know, some of the guys that we have, of course, were Phil Jackson's guys. You know, when we talk about Frank, that was, Phil Jackson, that's one of his guys. Cornet, you know, that was a Phil Jackson guy. Damian Dotson is a Phil Jackson guy. But I think Perry's made some good moves. Of course, he, brought in Trey Burke for what it's worth and what people, he brought in Jack, which I think is a good move. Was a good move. He's helping to, earlier in the season, he really came through for us. And then, now he's been professional enough to take a back seat and help the young guys grow. He signed Beasley, which has been a good move for us this year. Even though, we are where we are in the standings and all those type of things, these guys have still been additions to the team this year, especially when we were playing well. Then now he brings in Troy Williams. The trade for Mudiay, I think, was a good trade. And believe it or not, the Hernan Gomez was a decent trade. Hernan Gomez's his value was low. I would have liked to see him, especially now that we're playing the young guys, see what we might have done or how we might have used them. But it was obvious they didn't like his style of play and didn't think he was someone that was going to be here for the future. So if you have someone like that, that's basically a sunk cost. You got two second round picks for him that maybe one day will turn out to be him or someone better, or they trade up, use it to trade up in the draft or package it with another trade, whatever. But I think they did well with that. We'll see. I see somebody said, we'll see what happens in the draft. I agree. Let's see what's happening in the draft. And he's drafted some people, right? I believe he drafted Oladipo. He drafted Kylo Quinn. He drafted the guy that just got shipped off, traded to Phoenix. What's his name? Can't think of his name right now. We were going to trade for him. He got traded to Phoenix. Drafted him. So he's made some, decent draft picks. Now, Orlando was drafting high, right? So you were bound to get some good players if you're drafting high, I guess. So let's see. Aaron, Tamika, you're saying Aaron Gordon, drafted Aaron Gordon. So, he's made some draft picks, and he's done some, so we'll see what he can do in the draft. I believe, he probably has, a good scouting acumen. Gary Payton, yeah, man, not Gary Payton. Payton from Orlando. Well, he's in Phoenix now. But I think that they've made some good moves so far. Even though they weren't big splashes, they weren't big moves that are going to make you say, wow. They've done some things here and there that will hopefully, will set us up to have assets in the future. Bringing Trey Burke into your G League, signing him for the rest of this season, and then getting him on a non-guaranteed contract for next year. If he turns out to be a guy that can give you 15, boom. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's a great move. Kwaku, you say, do you think Scott Perry could sign Aaron Gordon due to the connection that Scott Perry has to him? Well, it's hard to say. I don't know. We'd have to look and see when Aaron Gordon's contract is up. Let's take a look at it. Let's check that out real quick. And then of course, we got to see what happens in the draft. You know what I mean? We see what happens in the draft. When is his contract? Aaron Gordon. If I can find him. Aaron Gordon's contract. So he has a qualifying offer. His contract is up this year. He has a qualifying offer. We'll see what Orlando decides to do. I think, if they extend that qualifying offer, then I guess he can go out and I don't know exactly how it works. I guess he can go out and see if he gets another contract, and then they'd have the right to match him or whatever it is. Something like that. I doubt that we'd be able to. I mean, we'd have to offer him a crazy amount of money, and we don't have it. We don't have much money this summer. So we wouldn't have enough money to sign Aaron Gordon this summer. If we were going to get Aaron Gordon, it'd have to be through a trade. We're not really going to have money until 2018-19, the summer of 2019, and then the summer of 2020. That's when we're going to have some money. All right, so this is Orlando Magic. Let's take a look at the Knicks. All right, you see this year, 2017-18, we have no money going into next year. These guys' contracts expire, but still $98 million, and I'm not sure what the salary cap is going to be, but we're not. I think the salary cap is probably going to be like a 104 or something like that, maybe 102, 104. We're not going to have much money to be able to sign anybody, right? Because even if we have 102 or 104, even if we have $6 million, our draft pick is going to take up half of that $6 million, most likely. So, we really don't have. We're not going to be players in the free agency market this summer. And if Aaron Gordon's a free agent this summer, we're not going to be players at all. If we're going to do anything, it would be through trade, and it would be coaching changes. And I'm interested to see how Scott Perry moves in the summer when he's really, basically cap strapped. There's not many things that he can do. We didn't do anything at the trade deadline to free up dollars. If we were going to do that, the only way that we can have some money is if Kylo Quinn or Enes Kanter or both opt out of their contracts. Kylo Quinn, is very, very possible that he opts out. I'm going to be honest with you. I really would like to have Kylo Quinn back. I like what he brings to the team and what he brings to the table, but I do think he's going to opt out of his contract and go get another contract. He does like being in New York, though, so we'll see how that goes. And as Cantor, I doubt he's going to get $18.6 million from another team. So I think he keeps his contract, and we're gonna have Enes Kanter on the squad next year, at least until the trade deadline. I'll say that. Other than that, Ron Baker, that is a player option, right? It's not a team option. That's a player option. He's going to opt in. So, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what he does. Chat GM, you say, or if Perry trades Lee during the draft. There could be some trades that happen during the draft. Yep. During the draft, we can make trades. So we can make, so we have the draft to see who we draft. And then if we do want to try to make some moves, Scott Perry has already said, his job is to make this team better by the time KP comes back. He wants the team to be better. So now we're talking about next December. Now, maybe in his mind, Scott Perry is saying when KP is at full strength. So not next year at December or January or whenever KP comes back, but the following year, training camp, you're stocked with players. He could be saying then, because when KP comes back in December, there's still going to be, his mentality is going to have to be right. He's going to have to work himself back into shape. Basketball shape. He may come back and look stronger, but he's going to have to work himself back into basketball shape. But Scott Perry did say, he wants the team to be stronger. He wants the team to be better when KP gets back. He wants KP coming back to a better team. I don't know how he does it this summer unless he makes some trades. He makes some moves, which could happen. And I wouldn't be surprised. Listen, I like Courtney Lee. I've said it time and time again. I really like Courtney Lee. I like what he brings to the team. But I would not be surprised if Courtney Lee was traded. He's going to make $12.2 million next year. It's not a crazy contract. And he's very valuable. And he can be very, very valuable to a team that's fighting for a championship. Or he could be a player that some teams think can maybe get him over the top. It's not always your star players that get you over the top. A lot of times it's your role players that get you over the top. And he could be that kind of guy. He has the experience. He's 32 years old. He's been to the finals before. So he could be a candidate to be traded. Believe it or not, Lance Thomas could have more value than people think. I'll probably get some hate thrown my way. That's cool. But he could have more value than people think. He makes $7 million a year. That's not crazy. It's not crazy. And he's a defensive guy. You look at some championship caliber teams, they want a defensive guy that can come in there and just play defense for you and not complain about it and not cry about not getting touches. So as much as we hate on Lance Thomas, one man's garbage is another man's treasure, right? One man's trash is another man's treasure, however you say it. And he could, on a championship caliber team, you could see him be a vital piece. He could be a vital piece to a team that needs some defenders and needs some of them kind of guys that hustle and work hard. And don't have an ego and don't need the ball. He's the kind of guy I wouldn't be surprised to see him wind up back in OKC. Right? He was at OKC, got traded to us from OKC. I wouldn't be surprised to see him back in OKC. And, Melos is one of his best friends. I wouldn't be surprised to see him back there if they needed a guy. People hate on Lance Thomas. I know, he doesn't bring the offense that we want, but I'm cool with Lance Thomas. I'm cool with it. I just like the energy that he brings out on the floor, the work ethic, the professionalism. I respect it. I respect it. Siobhan, you said Lance Thomas has the value of spoiled eggnog. Well, you know what? To a homeless man, a carton of spoiled eggnog might be the best thing happening for him. You never know. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure there's probably some delicacies that are made with spoiled eggnog. And that spoiled eggnog is very valuable to those delicacies. Google it. We'll see. But anyway, I think Lance could be valuable. So, I wouldn't knock the value of Lance. He may be able to, who knows? You may be able to package Courtney Lee and Lance Thomas and bring back a young guy that's unhappy or something. Or who knows what you could do. We'll let Scott Perry, Lance Thomas and Courtney Lee, that's $19 million, $20 million. You know what I'm saying? And you get 3 teams involved. Who knows how that could spread around and bring something back to you? I don't know. That's why we got Scott Perry. So, I'm interested to see what he does and how he can make some moves over this summer. But right now, I think they've done well, or he's done well. I think he and Steve Mills have done well so far with the little bit that we have this summer. Draft, summer. We'll see if they can start to make their mark on the team. Any other callers? If you get some more callers, call in. Whoever that was that just called in, I don't know. I don't know if you hung up or whatever it was, but call in again. Stephen Perez, you say you would also like to keep Troy. He seems like a find or what? He does. He seems like he could be a find. You know what I mean? People that say, well, he's playing on a bad team, but he also competed against, all these guys, they competed against a good team. And, we were competitive. We were right there. It was pretty good. And if you had KP, I'm not going to say probably, we could have pulled that game out if you had KP. You know what I mean? Although KP struggles against Boston a little bit, still having him on the floor makes a big difference. So I think Troy Williams could be a find. We've got to see some more from him, see what else he does on the NBA level. And if this is players, especially role players, Siobhan, I think he's 23, especially role players. One of the things that role players have to do is stay within their game. So when you're in the season, you're in the game, you stay within what you can do. You stay within what you do and what you can do. And then you develop your game over the summer. And then you come back and you have some more skills added to your game. And then you utilize those skills, but you stay within what you can do with your added skills. All of these guys like Troy Williams, that's what we want to see them do. Stay within their game, play their part, play their piece. And then, let their game grow. And as their game grows, they add more to their game. So, I want to see, can he do that? And that's what it looks like he does. It look like out there, to me, looks like he's just playing his game, playing natural. And he fits exactly what we needed. We needed an athletic 3-man. Let's see if he can shoot that 3. But his shot isn't broken. So it looks like it's something that can develop. From what I read, he had a decent jump shot. So, we'll see how that goes from there. You know what I mean? We'll see how that goes from there. All right, so let me caller, can you hear me?
Yo.
All right. What's going on, man? Who am I speaking with? Who's this on the line? And you went dark, bro.
Yeah, there's Omar. Killer Beats in the chat. What's up to the chat?
What's going on with you, man?
Yeah, man, I'm good. I caught the stats in the games and the stuff. I've been watching the chat. I'm a fan of the show.
Appreciate that, bro. Appreciate it.
I think, like I was saying in the chat, man, I think Trey and Frank deserve to play out the rest of the year. Mudiay, I think, need a little bit more work with his game.
Yeah.
You know, in my opinion, I feel like he'd be good off the bench just to soak in, you know, the actual plays from the coach and the coaching staff, and you know, he'll be able to develop that way within the team aspect. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And what do you think that it is? Why do you think it is that Hornacek is starting Mudiay? What is it about Mudiay you think it is? Is it because of his size? There we go. We can see you now, bro. Is it because of his size?
I think what it is I think he's more of a player that listens. I think he listens more to Hornacek than the rest of the guys probably do. He probably catches on with what Hornacek is trying to teach him on the court, on the floor, more than the rest of the other guys, in my opinion.
Probably more.
Noticed,
yeah, he probably. I think Trey Burke probably picks it up, but Trey Burke is going to do his thing.
Right.
Mudiay, you know, he picks it up and goes out and does what the coach wants to do.
Right. I think he's more of a better listener than the other guys. But he gotta develop that jump shot in the offseason. You gotta be able to, you know, get better at defense, you know, playing over the screens. You know, depending on if the coach comes back next year. Hornacek, I feel like, I don't know, man. I feel like Hornacek need to go. In my opinion, that's what the fans been saying, you know, all year long based on his rotations. It's just been terrible. I don't know what you think about. What do you think about that? Do you think he deserves another year?
You know, I think that I really do think that Scott Perry is going to give Hornacek another year. I really do. I think so. I'm not saying that he deserves another year, but I think he's going to give him another year simply for the fact that you can basically take that first year and throw it out.
Yeah.
Right? Because he was playing under the eye of Phil Jackson.
Then
Phil
he
Jackson,
lost KP. He lost KP in the middle of the year.
He lost KP in the middle of the year. Like last year is almost like a brand new year for Hornacek, really. Right? Because Phil Jackson was over his shoulder telling you, I want you to run in the triangle. So he gets players that fits the triangle. Right? Now, you come in this year, Scott Perry says, run your system, but run your system with players that Phil Jackson brought in for the triangle.
That's true.
Right?
I gotta give that to you.
You know, I mean, so I think
and they gotta get rid of Phil Jackson's signees, the people that he brought in,
right,
that he left behind on the roster. Those guys gotta get cleared out.
Yeah.
So Hornacek can have a clean slate. I mean,
exactly.
that makes a little sense. I mean, you know.
So that's what I think. That's what I think Scott Perry might try to do for next year. Try to see if he can find a way to get him some guys, which is one of the reasons why I think we see a lot of guards.
Yeah.
Right? Because Hornacek likes to play with a lot of guards that can get up and down the floor.
Yeah.
You know, so
what do you think about Hardaway? Hardaway, he's still, to me, man, I think he needs to either come off the bench or they need to like give him another year to really prove himself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because he had to get acclimated with this, you know, with the whole new team and coming back to New York. I feel like if he does what he does this year, next year, they got to start looking at shopping him with, you know, in a package or something.
Yeah, look at something. I really don't like his game.
I'm not a fan of his game.
I'm not a fan of his game. So I mean, we'll see if maybe they can, if they can work with him to, you know, get his shot selection a little bit better. You know, work with him on going to the basket, and he needs to get, if he's gonna ever take his game to the next level where he'll be a 20-point per game scorer, 21, 22 points. He needs to get a few more half court moves in his repertoire.
Who do you
know
think he needs to train with? Perhaps train with someone this year, maybe an all-star, wing or a player at the 3 that's an all-star in the offseason to really teach him. You know what I mean?
I think he needs to train with someone that can really break down the defense from the wing spot, because he doesn't really do that. He's he'll score on the break. He can hit threes, come off screens. But I think if he's going to take his game to the next level offensively, he needs to be able to catch the ball, triple threat, break down the defense, and get into the lane.
Right.
I think that's
totally
missing from his game.
I totally agree. I wasn't a fan of bringing him back anyways. I feel like for 71 million, we could have gotten a heck of a better better player at that position. What do you think?
Yeah, or if we didn't get a better player, we could have spread the money out or said, you know what, we're not going to spend it. We got players. We'll save the money so that we have more money later in free agency.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because then, let's say we didn't sign Hardaway, we didn't sign anyone, and we were, and then this summer, you got $17 million to spend. You know what I'm saying? So now, we've just got to see, can it work out? Can it pan out? Can they put together something in the offseason to help him expand his game even more?
Right. Yeah. He's on the clock for me. It's either, he got to show and prove, this new season coming up next year.
For sure. Me too.
If KP comes back, hopefully, with the guys that we have now, and, hoping that Scott Perry drafts someone that could complement the rest, the top guys we have on the team now, mainly KP, and if they keep, the point guards that we have now, we should be in a better shape, as far as the team next year moving forward. What do you see in the offseason as far this is my last question. I'm not going to keep you too long.
Yeah, cool. Mm-hmm.
Who do you see in the offseason as a free agent that the Knicks should target?
I don't think we're going to be able to target anyone this offseason because we don't have any money. I think we're going to have
that's true.
I think we're going to have maybe $6 million, somewhere around there, $6 to $8 million, and half of that's going to be taken up with our draft pick.
Right.
The only way
you see any trades possibly taking place?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think we'll probably see a little bit more as the draft. We near the draft. We get into, we get to the end of the draft, and we start hearing, those rumors and things about players, and wanting to get out and some things like that. I think we'll know a little bit more then.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, man. I just wanted to give my little 2 cents of what I feel so far, how the year went down.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I feel like if we end up somewhere in the top 5, we should be able to get one of the Bridges brothers.
I don't even know if we have to be in the top 5. I think they're kind of moving up the draft charts, but
they're going to be available at our spot.
If we get into 7 or 8,
yeah,
we might be able to get one of them there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hope so, man.
So, hey, Omar, appreciate the call, man.
I appreciate it, brother. Shout
appreciate
out to the
bro.
chat.
All right. Peace out, bro.
Time. All right.
Sure. I see my man, Mr. T. You said something that was pretty rude, so I'm blocking you for that, bro. I'm not with that. You know what I'm saying? We trying to keep this this thing clean for everybody. You know what I'm saying? And that kind of stuff, that's not happening here. You know what I mean? So for that, you know what I'm saying, you got to go. I ain't with it. Sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. You know what I mean? Hopefully you didn't say it, but it looked like you said it. It came from you. So I just removed you from this junk. I'm sorry. Boom. It's done. You know what I'm saying? We can't say stuff like that. It's not happening. But anyway, back to it. I'm on the wrong thing here. I think back to the front office. I'm sorry about that, guys. We'll get back to the front office, though. Talking about Scott Perry, talking about Steve Mills, and of course talking about Jeff Hornacek. I really do think that Scott Perry is probably going to keep Jeff on for another year, at least. Now, I'm not going to say at least. Give him another year to try to prove himself. I know, right? Jeff Hornacek hasn't done the best job, but I think Scott Perry is the kind of guy that's going to, like I was just saying with the last caller, it's kind of been a raw deal for him. He's trying to coach the first year is it's not even like he was here, right? The first year, he's coaching under Phil Jackson's style with Phil Jackson's players. Okay, now Phil Jackson's gone. This year, he's still coaching with Phil Jackson's players for the most part. Right? Even if you talk about Cantor, Cantor is still basically a Phil Jackson kind of player. Jack would have been a Phil Jackson player, even though he wasn't brought in by Phil Jackson. So I think that Scott Perry is going to say, okay, let me get you some guys that you feel can play your system, and now let's see what you do. That's just what I think. Now, do I think that he's going to be the long-term coach? No way. I do not believe it. But I just feel like Scott Perry is going to try to give him a chance. That's just my opinion. I think he's going to try to get him some guys that can play Hornacek's system, and then say, okay, I got you some guys. Now let me see what you can do. That's just how I see it. But we'll see. When Scott Perry was asked about it, he did say, I'm not going to make any in-season moves. So that doesn't negate anything that could happen off-season. He said, I won't make any in-season moves. So he could make some off-season moves. And he could make an off-season change. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all. But I do think that, he's the kind of guy that may look to say, I'm going to give you a chance. You know what I mean? I'm going to give you a chance. I'm going to get some guys that you want to play with, and I'm going to give you a chance. All we can do is wait and see what happens. And it may be telling. It may be telling when the draft comes, who he drafts. If he makes any trades during the draft. And then, of course, when free agency hits, it could be very telling. Now, something could happen at the end of the season. Who knows? It could be, boom, at the end of the season, he's done. And if you're going to make a move, I think if you're going to make a move with Jeff Hornacek, I think it needs to happen right at the end of the season if you're going to make a move. Because then it makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me to go through the draft players, have Jeff Hornacek involved in drafting players, and then you fire him. That doesn't make sense. To me, if you're going to get rid of Jeff Hornacek, you do it right at the end of the season. You get rid of him. You try to bring in a coach that you want that's going to play your system, or not your system, that's going to play your style or your philosophy of basketball. They can put their own system in. And then that way, that coach can say, these are the players that I need. These are the type of players that I want. So that way, when you're drafting in that first and second round, you can draft players that coach wants for their style, their system of basketball. You know what I'm saying? So, if something's going to happen with Jeff Hornacek, I would expect that it's going to happen right at the end of the season. The season ends, May? Right? And then we got the playoffs. The draft is in June. So I think if something is going to happen, it would happen. It should happen in enough time so that you can go on a coaching search, and be real picky with your coaching search, and then have a coach hired before the draft. That would be my philosophy. That would be the way that I would do it if I was going to fire Jeff Hornacek. And I think that Scott Perry probably thinks that same way. You know what I'm saying? So I think that if we don't see Jeff Hornacek fired before the draft, then he's probably going to be on the team next. He's going to be the coach next year. If he's not gone before the draft, I think he's going to be the coach. So, there it is. That's what I think about Jeff Hornacek and what's going to happen. But overall, right now, I think that Steve Mills and Scott Perry have done a pretty good job. They've done a pretty good job. It's getting late. Like I said, I got to get up early. I probably look tired, because I've been, we've had tryouts all day. Had some good tryouts today, too. Got some good players coming in. Got some good young ladies coming in. A couple of young ladies we got to work and develop. You know what I'm saying? But we got some decent players. So I was happy about today's tryouts. Got another tryout later on this week coming up. And hopefully we'll be done and we can have our team ready to go, ready to rock for this AAU season. So it should be fun. I'm excited about it. Last thing, we play the Golden State Warriors on Monday. I'm going to finish with this. All I'm looking to do is see our young guys ball. That's it. You know what I mean? I want to see Frank cover Steph Curry. I want to see him play some defense on Steph Curry. Yeah, that's it, Justin. That's what it is, man. We're going to develop them. We got some ladies that need some development. So we're going to develop them. We're going to work with them. I've been looking at, some of the players that I know are some of the players that are already on the team. We know what they need to work on. And some of the players that we're bringing in, we did some evaluations today, kind of let them know where we think they need some work. And we're going to put a plan in place for them. So I'm excited. It's going to be fun. AAU seasons are always fun. By the end of the AAU season, I'm glad it's over. But it's always fun, you know what I mean? But with Golden State, back to Golden State, I want to see the young guys play against them. Troy Williams, want to see what he's going to do against a team like Golden State. I want to see what Frank is going to do with major minutes, 30 minutes against a team like Golden State. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what they do. I'm not expecting to win. I'm just expecting them to play hard. Play aggressive, play with energy, play with some life. I want to see that first lineup. That first group, I feel like against Golden State, we could see them getting run off the floor early. Because it's kind of a slow lineup. Right? Even though you put Mudiay in for Jarrett Jack, it's still kind of a slow lineup. It's more of more ISO. Beasley is going to ISO. When Tim Hardaway gets the ball, he's going to look to score. Cantor, when he gets the ball in the post, is basically ISO. You know what I mean? So it is kind of an ISO heavy group that first group. You know what I'm saying? Because you got guys that, that's their game. It's ISOing. So, if those guys not on, if someone's not on in that first quarter, Golden State could run amok in that first quarter. They could run amok. The second group, one of the reasons why they work is because you got guys that aren't natural one-on-one scorers besides Trey Burke. So you got Trey Burke, you got Frank, you got Kylo Quinn, Lance Thomas. At least this is what we've been playing lately. And then either Damian Dotson or maybe Troy Williams. But these aren't guys that are just going to go one-on-one every time down the floor besides Trey Burke. Everybody else they're going to play off each other, move the ball, try to get some cuts to the basket and those type of things. And that's one of the reasons why I think you see that second unit lately, these last 2 games, with the new additions that's on the floor and these young guys playing. You've seen them play well because they don't have the ISO heavy guys on that squad. They've got to depend on each other. And when you have a team that depends on each other, playing offensively, they're going to play for each other defensively as well. You know what I mean? And that's one of the reasons why I think you see that second unit play so hard defensively. Because they're playing for each other. They're playing for their teammates. Because they don't have a lot of one-on-one guys in that group. In the first group, you got a lot of one-on-one guys. And so there's a lot more, not a whole lot of standing around, but there's more standing around. Getting the ball in the canter, letting him go for it. That's one of the reasons why I think they put Mudiay in there, is because he can penetrate so well, and he's big. He's big and he can penetrate to try to get that ball flowing a little bit better. Him and Courtney Lee move it well, sometimes, but, defensively, they got to pick it up. But if that first group, man, if someone's not hitting in that first group Monday night, they could get ran off the floor. Golden State might run amok on them in that first quarter. Game could be over quick, So we'll see what it is. See what it is. I'll be back on Monday night, guys, after the game. Is going to be a late one, right? Because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that we play. No, we play home. All right, never mind. I'm sorry. Thought we played in Golden State. We play home, so it'll be regular time, probably. Well, it's on NBA TV. Might start a little bit later than 7:30, 7:45. I'll still be on around the same time, 10:30. 10:30 Monday night, I will see you there. Or I will see you here on the show. All right, so I'm out. Have a good Sunday. Enjoy the day. Wherever you are, hopefully it's nice. You know what I'm saying? And, I will talk to you later. Have a good one. Peace. If you enjoyed the chat, please ring the bell below. Subscribe below. Ring the bell. You'll get a notification every time that I go live. Check out these videos over here. Stay updated with the New York Knicks. Peace, y'all.